Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi friends, welcome to this video column. Today we are going to talk about India-China face-off again. There are some very interesting lessons from the history which can be learned. And today we are going to talk about the lessons which the opposition can learn from the history. So in 1950s, 60s, Congress was in power. Today Congress is in opposition. Congress and some of the other political parties have started asking certain questions from the Prime Minister of the country. So there is nothing wrong in asking the questions. But the point is there a limit up to which you can go to discredit the Prime Minister or the ruling government, especially when they are dealing with a nation or especially when they are dealing with a country like China? So let's look at what happened in 1950s, 60s. And then we'll talk about what the opposition can learn from it. So in 1950s and early 1960s, especially after 1955, tension was growing between India and China, and especially after 1959. So there was a talk. The Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had invited the Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai to New Delhi for discussions. Amidst this growing tension, and the discussion was supposed to take place in somewhere around April 1960. So 1 month before that, Bharatiya Janasangh, which was one of the most vocal critique of Pandit Nehru's policy, and so they passed a resolution on 20th March 1960, and the resolution said that it is a matter of regret that the Prime Minister has not been able to understand and represent the people's feelings on such an important matter as foreign aggression. Now that the Chinese Prime Minister has accepted the invitation to visit Delhi, a meeting of the two Prime Ministers is definite. In the opinion of Janasangh, the only topic of discussion in such a meeting could be when will the Chinese forces vacate Indian territory. To talk about anything else would be to accept aggression by bringing the aggressor and aggressed on the same level. It also said that Janasangh considers that the Prime Minister's invitation to Shri Zhou Enlai to visit Delhi is against the honor and sovereignty of the nation, as it has been given while Chinese aggression on Indian territory still continues, and while there are no signs of any change in the Chinese attitude in this connection. Now, this is obviously expected from an opposition party because to criticize the Prime Minister. But interestingly, in the same resolution, the Bharatiya Janasangh says, Janasangh assures the Prime Minister that the entire country will be with him in the most difficult steps that would be required for talking to China from a position of strength and for ending her aggression. So this is lesson number 1, which the opposition can learn, that while you may criticize the Prime Minister or while you may question the government or while you may disagree with the government, you should also express solidarity with the government of the day, especially when it is dealing with such a sensitive matter. So keep aside your petty political interests and keep national interests above, the urge to score some brownie points. Another resolution on 24th May 1962 in the All India General Council of Bharatiya Janasangh was passed. Now, 24th May 1962 means in October the Chinese aggression had begun. So just a few months before that, and the tension was quite high between India and China, and a war apparently seemed to be in offing. So this resolution said, the resolution, I quote, the Prime Minister's categorical retort to China's threat, asking us to vacate 2 of our checkposts is welcome. So they have appreciated the Prime Minister because Chinese had tried to tell the Indian authorities, the Indian government, that they should vacate 2 checkposts on the border, which we refused to. And Prime Minister Nehru took a stand over it. And Bharatiya Janasangh, which had gone hammer and tongs against Nehru on his China policy. So they appreciated. So the second lesson which can be drawn from the history is that while you may criticize the Prime Minister or the government, but all that they do cannot be wrong. And if all that they do is not wrong, so you keep on questioning, but you can also appreciate the action taken by the government at times. The whole issue should not be, the whole political strategy should not be around scoring brownie points over every issue, even if that issue is of national interest. So certain issues should be kept out of this petty politicking. And now the Nehru and Chow and Lai's talks, so they failed. And after the Nehru Chow talks failed, the Central Working Committee of Bharatiya Janata passed another resolution on 1st June 1960, where it slammed China and called for stepping up the preparations to fight China. So it said the Working Committee reiterates its demand that effective steps should be taken to get the Chinese aggression vacated at an early date. At the same time, preparations for militarizing the nation and improving the defense potential of the country be stepped up to establish balance of power with China, which is the only guarantee against a further aggression. So lesson number 3 is that you look at the bigger picture, you look at the larger picture. Even when you criticize the government, you also should be coming up with some constructive suggestions. So that's what you call a constructive opposition is. So I think our viewers are very well aware the way some of the leaders in opposition have reacted on India-China face-off. And if we compare it with the way Bharatiya Janata Sangh, despite being a vocal critique of Pandit Nehru and Congress, the way it was reacting, I think number of lessons which the present opposition can learn from them. Thank you.